Agree.
The story of Dune Part 3 continues the epic saga of power, destiny, and sacrifice in a universe where survival is shaped by prophecy, politics, and belief. After the monumental events that reshaped Arrakis, the world no longer feels like a place waiting to be ruled, but a battlefield struggling to survive the consequences of revolution. Paul Atreides stands at the center of this transformed universe, no longer just a young man discovering his destiny, but a figure whose name has become legend, feared and worshipped in equal measure. The film leans heavily into the weight of leadership, exploring what happens after victory when the cost of power becomes impossible to ignore. Paul's rise has fulfilled ancient prophecies, but those prophecies now feel less like guidance and more like a cage. He carries the burden of knowing the future while being powerless to stop its most devastating outcomes. His visions have grown darker, more fragmented, showing endless war spreading across the galaxy in his name. The film presents Paul as a ruler haunted by inevitability, constantly questioning whether his choices are shaping the future or merely following a path already written. This internal struggle becomes the emotional backbone of the story, giving depth to every political decision and personal interaction. Arrakis itself feels different in this chapter. The desert is no longer just a harsh environment. It is a symbol of both hope and destruction. The dream of transforming the planet clashes with the reality that change threatens the delicate balance that gives Arrakis its power. The spice continues to be the most valuable substance in the universe, and control over it remains the core of galactic conflict. As forces gather beyond the desert, it becomes clear that Arrakis is no longer just a home for the Fremen, but the heart of an empire under constant threat. Chani's role becomes increasingly significant as she struggles to reconcile her love for Paul with the man he is becoming. She represents the voice of the Fremen people, grounded in tradition, survival, and truth, standing in contrast to the political image Paul must project. Their relationship is strained by the growing divide between personal loyalty and imperial duty. Chani sees the cost of Paul's rule on the Fremen, watching their culture be reshaped by war and religious fervor. Her perspective brings emotional tension to the story, highlighting the human cost of destiny fulfilled. The Fremen themselves are no longer just rebels fighting for freedom. They are warriors of a holy war spreading across the stars. The film explores how belief can be both empowering and dangerous, turning devotion into destruction. Many Fremen see Paul as more than human, a living symbol of salvation, while others quietly fear the consequences of absolute faith. This internal conflict within the Fremen adds layers of complexity, showing that unity built on prophecy can fracture under the weight of reality. Political forces beyond Arrakis are shown reacting with fear and desperation. Great houses that once underestimated Paul now scramble to contain his influence. Alliances shift rapidly. Betrayals are planned in silence, and the galaxy feels like it is on the brink of total collapse. The story moves between intimate desert moments and vast interstellar power struggles, reinforcing how Paul's personal choices ripple outward to affect entire civilizations. Power is no longer portrayed as triumph, but as a constant negotiation with chaos. Paul's mother remains a powerful and unsettling presence. Her belief in the path they have taken is unshaken, even as the consequences grow more severe. She represents the long-term manipulation that set these events in motion, a reminder that prophecy was never accidental. Her relationship with Paul is layered with devotion, control, and quiet tension, as both understand that turning back may no longer be possible. Through her, the film examines how ideologies are passed down and how difficult it is to escape them once they have taken root. The narrative also introduces new perspectives from characters caught in the expanding conflict. Soldiers, rulers, and civilians across different worlds experience the impact of Paul's rise in very different ways. Some see him as a liberator, others as a tyrant, and many as an unstoppable force of destruction. These viewpoints broaden the scope of the story, reminding the audience that history is shaped not only by leaders, but by those who suffer under their decisions. As the story progresses, Paul becomes increasingly isolated. Surrounded by followers and advisors, he finds himself more alone than ever. Trust becomes a rare commodity, and every alliance feels fragile. His ability to see possible futures becomes a curse, as each vision confirms that avoiding bloodshed may be impossible. This creates a sense of tragic inevitability, where even moments of victory are overshadowed by the knowledge of what is yet to come. The themes of control and freedom are explored through the question of whether the future can truly be changed. Paul's struggle is not just against external enemies, but against the idea that destiny cannot be escaped. The film challenges the notion of a chosen one, presenting power as something that consumes rather than liberates. This philosophical depth sets the tone apart from traditional heroic narratives, making the story feel more reflective and morally complex. Visually, the world feels grander and more somber. The deserts stretch endlessly, cities feel cold and imposing, and space itself feels vast and indifferent. Action sequences are intense but purposeful, always tied to character decisions rather than spectacle alone. Battles are shown as costly and chaotic, emphasizing loss over glory. Every confrontation reinforces the idea that war reshapes everyone it touches, leaving scars that cannot be erased. As tensions escalate, Paul is forced to make decisions that push him closer to becoming the very thing he fears. Each choice narrows the path ahead, reducing the possibility of peace. His journey becomes a meditation on leadership and responsibility, asking whether ruling with foresight is enough when the future itself demands sacrifice. The film does not offer easy answers, instead allowing the audience to sit with the discomfort of moral ambiguity. The final act brings these themes to a powerful crescendo. Confrontations are not just physical but ideological, as Paul faces the consequences of his rise head-on. Relationships are tested, loyalties are broken, and the cost of empire is laid bare. The story reaches a point where survival is no longer the only goal. Meaning itself is questioned. What is the value of saving humanity if it must be reshaped through endless war? By the end, the universe of Dune feels irrevocably changed. Victory feels hollow, peace feels temporary, and the future remains uncertain. Paul's journey does not conclude with triumph, but with acceptance of responsibility and loss. The film closes on a note that is both epic and deeply personal, reinforcing the idea that power and destiny are inseparable from suffering. Dune Part 3 stands as a continuation that deepens the saga rather than simply expanding it. It focuses on the consequences of belief, the danger of prophecy, and the human cost of absolute power. The story moves beyond the rise of a hero and into the aftermath of myth, asking what remains when legends become reality. It is a chapter defined not by conquest, but by reflection, making it a fitting and powerful evolution of the Dune saga.